Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg. Welcome back to Mangg Plays the Best Games of All Time. We're in 1995 now, and yeah, I mean, we're really in the heart of stuff from my childhood here. Last time we looked at Command & Conquer, which, like I said, I didn't own as a kid, but I owned Red Alert, so it's similar. And now we've moved on to MechWarrior 2, 31st Century Combat. And this one I did own as a kid. I don't know why. My dad was into computers. Like, he worked as like basically a CAD designer on like motorcycle engines and stuff. So he was very familiar with computers, and his coworkers were all very familiar with computers and stuff. So sometimes we would just like get games given to us. I remember one year one of his coworkers came over like dressed as Santa with just a massive bag full of PC games and stuff. So we had just a big assortment of just random stuff. And one of the games we owned was MechWarrior 2, and this game always seems so fucking cool to me. Like, everything about it was just cool. It oozed coolness. But it was so complicated for my little child brain that I could never get past, like, the first mission, probably, of this game. And I didn't understand what was going on with, like, outfitting your mech or anything like that. It was just all over my head, but I just wanted it. I thought it was cool. Then by the time I actually could understand everything going on, like, this was now pretty dated, being 1995. So I never really went back to it, but I always remember MechWarrior 2. So now that I'm a little older, a little wiser, we're going to give it a shot. The problem now, of course, is that it's really dated. So, this is the only MechWarrior game to appear on the list. And I kind of doubt it's the best MechWarrior game, but let's just start by looking up that. Best MechWarrior game. What is the best MechWarrior PC game? A lot of people say it's MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries. MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries is still the best. Mercenaries is a better game, but I have to commend the original MechWarrior 2 Clans. Okay, hold on. Let's... Clans. So, let's be clear here, since I didn't explain. So, MechWarrior is part of the BattleTech franchise. BattleTech is a wargaming thing that goes back to 1984, so like tabletop wargaming. That's all BattleTech. And, so there's a whole bunch of board games related to BattleTech, and things like that. There's some role-playing games titled MechWarrior, BattleTech, stuff like that. But then, when most people think of video games, they think of MechWarrior. Even though the first BattleTech video game was titled BattleTech. And there's also, you know, a relatively recent computer PC game titled BattleTech, which is like turn-based tactical strategy. But MechWarrior is... There's been a lot of MechWarrior games. So obviously there's MechWarrior 1, released in '89. Then we have MechWarrior 2, 31st Century Combat. Then there was MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries, which was a standalone expansion to MechWarrior 2 released in '96. And this is the one that everybody apparently is praising. I've never played that, so I can't attest to it. MechWarrior 2 Clans, I'm not really sure what that is referring to, except for the fact that in this game, MechWarrior 2, you are playing as one of two clans. I don't know if that's... seems like an odd thing to addend to it. Yeah, so... there's some recommendations here for MechWarrior 3. A little bit of 4. But, yeah, decent amount of praise for MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries. Now, that's a little concerning to me because I don't know if I can lump that in with MechWarrior 2, the original game. Because they're all specifically saying Mercenaries. You know, it's not just saying MechWarrior 2. So they are clearly delineating between the two. Interesting. Here's an article from Screen Rant, why MechWarrior 2 is still the best MechWarrior game. Specifically, this one, 31st Century Combat, not talking about Mercenaries. Curious. A lot of praise for the soundtrack of this game. Alright. Okay. Well, it's hard to say that. I mean, if we include Mercenaries in with this slot, then probably. But either way, let's actually play MechWarrior 2, 31st Century Combat. We either are part of the Jade Falcons or the Wolves. The Wolves. Well, Command & Conquer, we were GDI, so let's be the Wolves this time.
We are Clan Wolf, children of Kerensky. We carry the honor of his name on our shoulders as our fathers did before. The remembrance speaks to us of the evil in man's will, of the reasons for exodus and the rights of the traveler. Arcadia is our destiny and our right. Enlightenment is our gift. By the blood names of the founders, we must return and protect that which is unique among the stars. Terra awaits us as it was written. We are the last of the Wardens, the sole hope for the Earth.
Register Simcoe identity.
Okay. New Allegiance? No. No. Damn it.
Register Simcoe identity.
Here we go. Mangg. Rank MechWarrior. Honor 1975. Mission Pirate Light. I don't know what any of that means. Look at this, it's like mist. Register, archive, holo projector. Det training ready room. This reminds me a lot of TIE Fighter. Hopefully not too much. Mech lab. Should we look at our mech?
Mad Dog.
Mad Dog. So yeah, if you played any MechWarrior or BattleTech game, this is gonna look pretty familiar to you. I mean, it's all about the mechs, right? So it's all about their tonnage, how much they weigh, how many weapons they can carry, how much armor they have bolted onto them, how quickly they can move, you know, all sorts of things like that. It's all balanced. It's very RPG-esque because, you know, it started as a war game. So this one has 2 large pulse lasers, 2 medium pulse lasers, and 2 long-range missiles. Missile launchers. So we can, well, let's see if we can customize it at all. Okay, so we can change the engine if we want to be faster or slower. And of course, a faster engine is just heavier, so you're talking about mass. So if you want a faster engine, you have to drop off some other things. Heat sinks, you can add, take away heat sinks, so on and so forth. Jump jets, we have none on this mech because we don't have room. We can change our internals. I'm not really sure why you'd want the heavier one, but that's what we have. Armor, so you can allocate it to different parts. So if I recall correctly, I know if you get your center torso exploded, you're dead. I think the head explodes, you're dead. And then I think if you lose both of your legs, you're also dead, I believe. Something like that. So you can distribute armor however you want there. Then you've got your various weaponry and the ammunition if required. There's a lot of them. Different ER lasers, PPCs, different size pulse lasers, Gauss rifles, machine guns, you know, ballistic weapons, short-range missiles, long-range missiles. Yeah, I mean, again, as a kid, this was just like, what? I don't think we're gonna fuck with anything right now. So, there you go. Let's do the mission briefing. Alright. In a matter of hours, the 352nd Assault Cluster will engage the enemy's 12th Falcon Regulars at the mouth of the Maraca Valley, Mare Requiem Colmar. In preparation for the combat, our aerospace fighters have performed an interdiction strike against a Falcon firebase and chemical plant south of the valley. The weather during the strike has turned foul, and the mission was scrubbed before the chemical plant could be hit. Orbital inspection of the firebase has become impossible. The two-man needs positive reconnaissance information so that the fighters can turn their attention to destroying the 12th. Codename Pyrolite. Planet Colmar. Terrain. Rolling Hills. Time day. First, destroy the chemical plant at Nav Epsilon. Leave nothing standing. Then you must inspect the firebase at Nav Zeta and wipe out any and all opposition you encounter. Alright. Let's launch.
Planet Colmar. Ambient temperature 34.65 degrees. Local time is 01:34:16 GST. All systems nominal.
Alright, so sort of goes through our whole weapon array.
Image enhancement engaged. Image enhancement engaged.
That's kind of handy. Cut through the fog. We've targeted Falcon Fire Moth over there. That's the shutdown button. Don't worry, we'll get there.
Autopilot engaged.
Okay.
Autopilot disabled.
Alright.
Autopilot engaged.
We're on autopilot towards our nav spot at Epsilon. Very slowly. This is zoom. This changes the mini-map zoom.
External camera engaged.
Third-person view.
External camera
Okay.
engaged.
Not equipped with mask. I mean, every key does something, you know? Okay, this changed to our different nav.
Autopilot disabled.
Okay. Probably, yeah, plus minus changes. So it's a lot like TIE Fighter with the control system. Alright, so we need to... We got Falcon Jenner, Falcon Fire Moth coming up, so these are going to be our targets. There's no, like, mouse control whatsoever. mission stuff. Probably want to kill the engines.
Heat level critical.
Generating a lot of heat.
Shutdown sequence initiated.
Now we're shutting down.
Shutting down.
Because we overheat. We overheated. Okay.
Heat level critical.
So there's probably a heat sink somewhere. I don't know if you... I don't know if heat sinks are an active thing you're using or not. Damn, can't aim for shit.
Heat level critical. Heat level critical. Critical hit LRM. Critical hit. Weapon destroyed.
Alright, I've lost an arm.
Enemy mech destroyed.
I got one.
Critical hit engine. Critical hit engine. Heat level critical. Shutdown sequence initiated. Shutting down.
Damn it. It's funny thinking of, like, when I was younger and I thought of MechWarrior, or I look back and I try to think of what the MechWarrior 2 was like. It was, like, ultra-realistic graphics, man. There was nothing that looked this cool. Alright, I have no weapons, so my only bet is to ram into him. I'm coming for you, motherfucker. Slowly. I don't know how he's still standing. That doesn't seem right to me. Okay, can't do anything, so he'll eventually just kill me. There's no ramming damage. Yep, I think we're pretty fucked here.
Image enhancement engaged.
Alright. Abort mission.
Ejecting.
Well, yeah. That was something. Mission failed. Okay, let's do it again.
Planet Colmar. Ambient temperature 34.65 degrees. Local time is 01:34:16 GST. All systems nominal.
Yeah, I mean, the music is pretty decent. I mean, I wouldn't play a game like this just for the music. I wouldn't play any game just for the music. Except, like, Rock Band. His jump jets. Oh my god, I just blew off his leg. Die, son of a bitch.
Gyro. Heat level critical.
shouldn't have bothered to finish them off. Fire moth. Yeah, I mean, I think probably part of my problem with this game and TIE Fighter is just controls. Like, just sitting here fucking around with a keyboard. It's like, damn, man. That was, like, such a big difference between older and newer games. It's just how nice a controller is a lot of the times. Or just, you know, really properly designing games with a mouse and keyboard in mind.
Critical hit LRM. Critical hit. Weapon destroyed.
Because, like, during these times, during these times, it wasn't even out of, like, the realm of ridiculousness for you to play a first-person shooter with a joystick. Because a lot of people, like, if they owned an accessory for gaming, it was a joystick, you know? And it's just, like, insane. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's just, like, I don't have the best sort of setup to be playing games like this, or if it's just they're kind of shit in general. I don't know. Sort of interesting. I looked up a video of MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries. The description of the video says, you already have a successful game, a game engine powering it, an array of model meshes and sound effects and HUD elements. It would be impossible to screw up a sequel with all that, right? Right? Says, while this game has a ton of content, there's enough technical issues here to rival Daggerfall. So this is like shitting on Mercenaries compared to this game. The comments seem to be like, oh, you know, despite all this, still my favorite MechWarrior. I mean, people like MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries, despite its terrible flaws, actually remains my favorite game of all time. I can't even really comprehend it. I just, you know, I think that maybe that's part of my issue. I've never encountered anyone, like, in my own personal life that loves, like, 90s games, you know? Like, I've never met anyone that has, like, almost any sort of appreciation for games of this era, or, you know, or anything like that. I was talking to some friends and stuff and telling them about, oh, you know, I'm doing this series on the best games of all time. And I mentioned, I don't know, I mentioned some game from like the 80s or something, and they're like, really? That's one of the best games of all time? Like, really? Like, it's like just so far out of their comprehension. Because most people don't have any appreciation for any game, um, unless they like directly grew up with it. And that's, I mean, that's the thing. Like, nostalgia is such like a pivotal fucking force. And most people I know, most people in general, didn't grow up with PC gaming, like in the 90s. PC gaming in the 90s was not like stellar popularity. Um, Pretty much everyone I knew grew up with either an NES, SNES, N64, you know? And so you mention a game that's on the NES, you mention a game that's on the SNES, you mention N64 stuff, they're like, oh yeah, that was fantastic. Loved that. Um, but yeah, PC gaming just was not big. And I wasn't super into PC gaming in the 90s either. Most of my time spent was on the SNES or the PlayStation. Um, so it's just sort of wild to think that, you know, MechWarrior 2 could be someone's favorite game of all time. Because again, when I think of like MechWarrior, a series like this, I think, well, there's newer versions of that. They had to have improved on it, right? But I guess like Final Fantasy 15 is not the best Final Fantasy, and someone could say the same thing, like, how is Final Fantasy 6 your favorite in the series? They made newer ones. And it's like, well, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, like, there's no technical issues with Final Fantasy 6. There's no graphical issues. I mean, the sprite work in Final Fantasy 6 still holds up. It still looks just as good as it did in the 90s when it was out. Um, the music, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just blinded by nostalgia. If I had like real nostalgia for MechWarrior 2, like if I was actually of the age where this was playable to me when I was a kid, when I was younger, maybe I'd just be like, oh yeah, I don't even need to make a video on MechWarrior 2. I know it's one of the best games of all time. I don't know. I mean, I think, and we're sort of discovering that a lot with this sort of time period of just like that I can't really understand. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like we're past the point of just like, okay, this is on the list because people are paying lip service. And we're more towards the point of like, okay, I mean, this is like not like a super popular like, you know, it's not like Donkey Kong or something like that. It's this this game couldn't have like been massively popular. I mean, it was pretty. It was the 12th best-selling computer game in '96. So let's look at the rest of that list, by the way. Number one was, of course, Myst, because that dominated everything. Then Warcraft 2, then MS Flight Simulator, then Duke Nukem 3D, then Civ 2, then Barbie Fashion Designer, then Command & Conquer Red Alert, then Microsoft Return of the Arcade, then Command & Conquer, then Madden NFL 97, then Monopoly, then MechWarrior 2. Ultimate Doom, Doom 2, Rebel Assault 2, MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries, You Don't Know Jack, Quake. This is for 96. So, some of those games we haven't gotten to yet. But yeah, I guess, I mean, like, for being a year after its release, it's being on the 12th best list, it's not bad. And I guess, I mean, I owned it. I mean, randomly, I suppose. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. I guess it's sort of a genre that there just isn't that much competition outside of the MechWarrior franchise. I mean, how many other like mech games are there? How many mecha games are there? So MechWarrior, uh, like first person. Armored Core, I think, is just third person. I've actually never played those. I've never played a single Armored Core, which is sort of odd because it's FromSoft. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's talk, I guess, that they're making a new Armored Core. I don't know if that was ever confirmed. Anyways, that's besides the point. Not many, really. I mean, no big franchises of first-person sort of mech games. I mean, there's a couple here and there, but not really. And I suppose, like I said, within the MechWarrior franchise, MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries is looked on very favorably, even though that video was sort of against that. But the reviews at the time were like 85%, 8.5 out of 10, 4 stars. Like, not overwhelming praise or anything. Um, I think, yeah, I mean, again, much like a TIE Fighter, I think it's just a sort of series that I will never be that into. Although, I mean, on the surface, you'd think that I would be into it, of like just piloting a big mech around all these guns and stuff, and but no, I mean, I'm more into like the BattleTech game of turn-based strategy, tactics, and stuff than actually slowly clomping around in a mech and trying to shoot stuff. Um, yeah, I mean, everybody seems to have a lot of praise for MechWarrior 2. I would just like to see like a fresh perspective on it. Somebody that just discovered MechWarrior 2. Hmm, I don't know. I guess. I mean, I don't know. It seems weird. It seems weird for me to say it's one of the best games of all time, much like TIE Fighter, but um, obviously there's something here. It's not unanimous that 2 is the best in the series, or even 2, including Mercenaries, is the best in the series. But sure. I mean, sure. I don't know. I mean, if you forced me to sit into a room for like 6 hours and play a MechWarrior game, I'd probably just pick 5. Uh, because it's the newest one. It probably works the best with like a controller. I'm sure it's not as like involved with mech customization and actual like gameplay and stuff. You know, these things tend to get dumbed down over the years, but yeah, it probably would be the most playable to me. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it was interesting to look at, but compared to like Command and Conquer, which is the last game we looked at, Warcraft 2, that's the next game we're looking at. I mean, those games just really hold up well, in my opinion. Whereas this, I don't know, dated graphics and just kind of dated control systems and stuff. Yeah. But sure, I'll have to, very similar to TIE Fighter to me in a lot of ways here. But sure. All right, my name is Mangg. This has been Mangg Plays the Best Games of All Time with MechWarrior 2. I'll see you fine folks next time.